Alright, let's see if we're getting this right here, man. Y'all gonna have to bear with me today. Let's see if we can get some folks in here and see what we doing. Alright, I gotta go grab some people from Instagram Live, because that's where people are used to seeing me at. So, we're gonna just bear with me. We're gonna get to this. First time we're doing this. This is the test, but it's happening in real time. Oh. Why isn't it starting? Oh, I put it on the wrong day. Oh my god, bro. That's crazy. Alright, so we already off to a bad start, but that's okay. We still here. I wonder if we even rocking on Twitch right now. Are we live on Twitch? Let's see, how do we get live on Twitch? Alright. Alright, we're gonna go live on IG, see if we can grab anybody, figure this out. Alright, so I guess we live here. So, alright, go to youtube.com/@ Alright, we're testing live streaming on YouTube. What's good, man? So I'm trying to test something out here on streaming on YouTube, man. I'm trying to figure this out. So I don't know if y'all can go to YouTube also, but I'm trying to figure this out. So help me out here. And I'm trying to do a multi-stream on Twitch also, but I don't know if that's working. Technical difficulties, but it's alright. We're gonna figure this out. Hold on, let me send this out to some folks. Pete, Nev, June, Glenda, Chris, Jason, Alright, we're trying to figure this out over on YouTube. I think I'm streaming over there too. I hope. It looks like we're good, but I'm not 100% sure. So we're trying to figure this out. Real time, man. So real time. Ah, okay. Well, nah, I connected the counts. What's it called? I'm using OBS, so we're there. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't know if everything's streaming the way it's supposed to. This was really like my straight test. Thrill to 8th Ave. All right, you guys got our products in there? Let me know if y'all got our products in there. We'll come through for sure. Definitely got to pull up. Okay, usually they tell us, yeah, no, I know it is. I remember, I know you left. I didn't know. Yo, JT, try to go to, Parks, what up? Yo, go to YouTube for me, guys. Go to YouTube. Let me know if it's working over there. All is good, man. I'm trying to figure out if I'm actually doing this shit right on YouTube. Somebody hop in YouTube for me. Oh man. I pinned it. Yeah, no, it's HWMK111. It's the pinned YouTube. But I got burnt like crazy, bro. Like, Lando, what up? Um, but yeah, so I got like this software I'm trying to put over there. So if y'all can, let me know. Pull up to YouTube. I'm supposed to be going on Twitch also, but it's not looking like it's working. What's good, y'all? So, um, oh, nice. I appreciate you, bro. But yo, am I showing up on YouTube? Is the live showing? Oh, it is. Okay. All right. All right. Dope. Dope. Now the only thing is I gotta figure out how to do the browser, cause y'all can see the chat right in the left. So I gotta figure out now how I can do the chat so I can see it. Cause that shit's mad small on my computer. Hold on. Let me see something here. Enter full screen. All right. Dope. Dope. All right. Bet. All right. So yeah. So we here. So it's working. Good stuff. Dope. Love that. Since Hazy House. Hey. Yeah, man. So we here trying to figure this out, getting my technical having technical difficulties, but you know, we working it out. I gotta work out the space. I gotta figure out this whole, you know, online, the overlay system. Um, Yeah, no, I can do it, but what I'm trying to figure out is if I can do it all on the one screen, so I don't have to have like every other damn screen open. But I'll probably just have to do that as well. You know, it's a lot to figure out here, man. But I'm looking forward to it. All right, follow you where? Here or on IG? What up, Nev? International Nev. But yeah, man. So we're getting this going. Um, you know, like my whole thing is I've been doing, you know, mask off and the podcast. I finally brought that back. I've been doing these Monday joints for a minute now, and what I've been looking to do is just create a space where it's like where the intention is, right? And I feel like everybody's moved to Twitch and to YouTube Live. So I want to take it over here. Peace, peace. If y'all can, hop on the YouTube joint. So I want to take it over here to really create like a media hub, right? I can't really do that on Instagram, but YouTube, we can create a whole hub that links together all of my channels, right? So the podcast, got Chef for Hire, got all of that. And you know, I feel like, you know, we just really need space to have a voice. And you know, I've been in media for a really long time, and I kind of miss, you know, being able to talk about just culture and everything else that I'm already talking about. And I felt like YouTube is kind of like the best way to do it. So, we'll continue to do Mask Off Mondays. We're launching new episodes of Mask Off with Hawaii Mike every 2 weeks on Mondays. We're about to actually launch a new episode right now with Mek Rashawn, somebody I've known for a long time from The Source Magazine. He's also Busta Rhymes, A&R, and a bunch of other things. So I had a great conversation with him, so we're about to launch that. Chef for Hire, right? I want to be able to do cooking, but cooking with our infused products, but also just cooking some regular food, but also going to eat out. So y'all will see some shorts of me eating at spots. Like I did a dope omakase spot last week. Super low key spot in where was we at? Where were we in Jackson Heights? The upstairs, it was a old Chinese restaurant that was shut down, and then you had downstairs, and it's like this really dope speakeasy. So I want to be able to show things like that. I linked up with my homies from Souls of Mischief and got to kick it with them for a while. So, so that was dope. And just, again, a lot of the cultural things, like, a lot of people used to know me, obviously people know me for cannabis, but a lot of people used to know me for, really for like sneakers and clothing and everything else, and fashion and style. So I kind of want to talk about those things, even though I've really kind of pulled back from really being a consumer just because of planned obsolescence and things of that nature. What up, Nev? Thanks for pulling up over here. So we'll have all of that. Plus, like I said, again, space for Chef for Hire. And then we're going to also incorporate Fly Private Social into it. Be able to do some live streaming from there, whether it's events, Wisdom Wednesdays. Just like, again, this is the hub. This is the spot where we can catch all things. All of the content will live here, so all the replays. I'll connect all of the channels over here. So Hawaii Mike 111 is going to be the spot. If you haven't subscribed already, which I'm pretty sure all y'all have, make sure you do that. Stay up on everything. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, like, I'm trying to figure out what to call it and what days to do it on. I feel like I want to do it on Sunday, but then I feel like I'll be streaming Sundays and Mondays, and I kind of want to have days in between. But really, I want to share, like, my rituals, the things that I do in the morning, the things that I do to stay healthy, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, on a regular basis, and be able to, because again, let me actually even rewind. The whole reason I'm doing this is to really engage my peers, but also the younger generations, and really just inspire, hopefully, people to get on their own path, right? To whatever it means for you to find success, right? That's actually one of the prompts I really want to know. So anybody's in the chat right now, let me know, what does success mean to you? You know what I'm saying? Is it material things? Is it money? For me, success really means, being able to use my time how I want to. Whether I want to work on a project, a new idea, whether I want to go to the beach today and go surfing, even though that was my first time. This whole summer I got to touch the water, and it was amazing, right? But it's like, what does success mean to you? Yo, if you just joined on IG, we're over on YouTube right now. You can see the URL's pinned over there. So if y'all want, jump over on YouTube, catch the full live stream. And, again, like, nobody can be a better you than you. And nobody can show you that as well. Like, people are saying, like, I think there's, 2 million podcasts right now or something plus. And, the question a lot of the times is, well, how are you going to stand out? I'm going to stand out the only way I know how, and that's to be me, right? To be authentically me, to talk about the things that interest me, to talk about, things from my perspective and everything. So it's like, it doesn't matter how much is out there, right? As long as you do you, the best you, then you're living your best life, and you can offer something that nobody else can offer, because nobody can think the way you think, right? Now, it's not going to say everybody's going to love it, right? But we out here shooting our shot. And that's what I want all of y'all to do. I want all of my people to, again, shoot your shot at being your best self. And just trust that it's all right here. Everything that you need, you're going to find doing that inner work, once you do that inner work, it's all going to kind of, show itself. I've read a quote today from Rick Rubin: do the work and the work will do the rest, right? And that shit really resonated with me because it's like, like Allen Iverson, right? We're talking about practice, but that's what everything that we do is, right? All of these different modalities, all of meditation, exercise, mindfulness practices, it's all practice, right? So that when you're in the middle of whatever it is, that muscle memory kicks in. And that's why I feel like the work, once you consistently do that work, it just becomes natural, right? And the work will do itself and to work it out. So that consistency. But chasing outside of yourself is only going to be led to unhappiness or to emptiness, right? Because again, like if you're chasing happiness outside of self, it's all temporary. It's never going to be something that sustains and becomes your truth. So that's the goal, right? And when I was looking, doing some research on this, if y'all know people, let me know. But I haven't really found people kind of in this lane that are talking about mindfulness and health, but also culturally relevant things, and just kind of like tying all of that kind of lifestyle and culture, entertainment, even things like cannabis, together. And again, like I said, nobody can do it. Nobody can do me better than I can do me. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come out here and do what I can do. So what up, Ed? What up, Austin? If y'all can, hop over to YouTube, man. I'm doing the live stream from YouTube right now. I'm just getting this together. Let me see. Yeah. What else? So my mission really, like I was saying, is getting us to focus on self, right? Showing how similar we are as beings on this planet, as animals on this planet, what we call the human race. So that once we understand how similar we are, we can really identify and then celebrate our differences, because that's really what it's about. That's what makes us unique, is our differences. But a lot of the times we're pushed in ways to resist those connections in that way, and instead of connecting, we're judging, right? And so my mission, again, is to just kind of unite us through all of our similarities. And it's not saying that we can all be friends and, we're all going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. It's not that, but you will be able to find your tribe that way, or multiple tribes, right? I feel like at this point we're multi-hyphenates in so many different ways. We have multiple tribes, we have multiple likes, and I think at this point it's okay. Like, we should, again, celebrate these things. And again, we connect because we're all living life. We all have mental health, right? Whether it's emotional intelligence, whether it's struggles and challenges that we have with mental health and just living. And then hip hop for me is what kind of brought us all together. It's kind of the common thread throughout pop culture for me right now, or at least the most prevalent, the strongest, or again, popular one, right? And it's all about communicating that unity so that we can build community. Because I feel like unity is truly our capital. The more we see ourselves and one another, the more we're able to collaborate. The more we're able to collaborate, the more we're able to build together. Once we're able to build together, it's like, man, we can start to use this knowledge and wisdom that we've had growing inside of us from all these experiences, but instead of giving it away through influence and for other brands, we can start turning that towards ourselves and utilizing it for the betterment of us and our communities. So, we can do this through me having these one-on-one conversations with y'all, me bringing on guests. Sometimes I even bring in some of the guests that I have on the podcast and do kind of like follow-up interviews or different insights, and we're gonna see where it goes, man. Like, again, I've done so many of these things in the past, and I've just been itching to kind of get back out there and have a platform and a space to be able to talk about the things that I'm interested in, the things that get me excited. Like, you know, why can't we talk about, you know, the clips, and I keep bringing this one up, but how dope that album was, and not just how dope the album is in itself, but how much it speaks to age just being a number. This huge ageism gap thing that we have, or the way we look at hip hop artists and kind of throw them out once they start to get old, needs to change. You know, we need to change that narrative into something that you know, it's like pushing, and Malice are my age. Malice is 52. He's my age, right? But they're actually like millennial artists because that's when they came out. And I think it's really dope that they're really, you know, Gen X, but speak to the millennials. Like, that's Tyler the Creator's favorite group. And so I think it's a way to bridge this gap, that big chasm that we have of, you know, the internet. And, you know, oh, that would be dope. The Prince Paul VHS? Hell yeah. Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff back here. We'll figure it all out. You know, this is just the initial thing that I have because it's just the crib, right? But we'll start to build things out once we get like a, you know, studio, or if I figure out doing the full recordings from on a regular basis. But again, like, you know, it can be, you know, interviews, talks about music, recipes, live cooking. Like I was saying before, either ritual Sundays where it's just talking about different mindfulness practices, exercise, and really kind of like why, right? There's other topics or things, you know, we should talk about. Let me know. You know, again, this is really an open format to get dialogue going, and with the goal of, like I said, inspiring us to find that drive to be our best selves, you know, that drive and that inner standing, right, going inside. Because again, that's really what's success to me. Because I feel like, you know, the more we talk about these journeys, and when we talk about, you know, the things that we go through, the struggles, the more we put these things out on the table, the more we become more relatable to one another. The more we see, again, that oneness. And that's really all it's about. So, you know, we're going to have some deep convos, some interesting guests eventually, and, you know, just have some fucking fun with it, bro. Like I said, it's gonna be a dope open format that's kind of just, you know, rotating and flowing like water. You know, because for me, it's like I went on this journey back in 2017, and, you know, just recently, probably in the last year and a half, I started to really embrace it. I started to get to that point where my mind, my body wants it, right? It's not like, oh, I have to do this. It's no, I want to do this now. I want to get that exercise in, and, you know, I'll go, you know, the extra mile, and once I started to do that, life doesn't necessarily become, I want to say becomes easier, but it seems to me personally, it seems less heavy. We have less time to focus on any of the negative stuff because I'm thinking about positive things, right? I'm doing these practices to center my mind, to allow myself the ability to come back to center, to breathe, to refocus, to recalibrate, you know, throughout the day. Just that in itself is a gift that I wish I could bestow upon everybody, right? I wish I could just, you know, write this shit down, hand it to you, and you're able to put it in your pocket and do it, or text it to you, you know. Because, man, I see so many of my friends and people I know that they just don't see much else besides the negative, besides the things that are going wrong. And it's like, yo, there's always something that's challenging. There's things that go wrong. There's, you know, that's part of life. It's the ebb and flow. There's a high tide, there's a low tide. There's high vibrations, there's low vibrations. There's high, good feeling thoughts. There's low, negative feeling thoughts. And it's like the when they say there's two wolves inside of us, right? A good one and a bad one, right? Which one wins? In this fight, like they're both strong, they both, they weigh the same, they're the same breed, whatever, but which one wins? And it's the one you feed. So it's the one you give energy to. That's what wins. And we can starve it out and feed the good one, right? And it's not to say that every single moment, every single day, everything is positive, but you're able to catch yourself when you start to go down that path. And man, we get so caught up in wanting to control what other people do, or telling other people they're affecting us, and we're not being accountable for our feelings and how we're responding in this world. And it's not, to me, it's not healthy moving around like that. It's not in your best interest to move around like that. And so, again, these practices that, I have been doing, and I have been focused on being my better self and always working on this elevation, has just really changed my whole ability to kind of navigate through life in a way that's not as I don't feel like I'm carrying as much baggage. I don't feel like I'm as resistant to the things that just come my way, right? Because it is what it is. It already is. I can't change it. It already happened. How I can respond to it now is all of the power that I have. That's that choice I can make, right? And so the more we practice, the more again, the more you do the work, the more the work does its job. And so that's why we're here, right? Is to inspire through example, right? By being that example, by sharing my story, by sharing other people's stories, and with the hopes that you start to see yourself in these people, but also understand your uniqueness, and what's going to make you happy might not make me happy. Might not be the same formula, you know what I'm saying? So that's why we got to do the work. That's why we can learn from others. And that's why I say inspire. I'm not saying I'm here to teach you. I'm here to share with you. And hopefully from that, you can teach yourself and go learn how to, or what things, resonate with you best. Because I think, again, like, we can cook the same food, but how we do it, we might have like a little bit of a different twist to it. That's our special sauce. That's how we got to really, I think, approach life. That's when life starts to become fun. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, bro, you need those things, man. You definitely need the time to feel better, because that'll make work and fun more fun. Like, think of it that way. That's the trick of it, right? That's also the trick of life. Is the more you live life, the more you learn how to live it. And the more you're like, shit, I wish I would have known these things in my 20s. That would have been amazing to be able to go through life with this kind of confidence and understanding and wisdom, at that age. The choices you would make and how you move will be so much different. But at the same time, that's life, right? Like, we're taught almost to like learn backwards, how information is given to us. And it's that sacrifice, it's that discipline, and it's like when they say it's greater later, bro. It's so true. Um, and it's with everything you do. If you have that patience and you're not running after your desires, or in Buddhism they call them the vasanas. You know what I'm saying? What up, Phil? Yo, hit YouTube up for me, bro. And it's those like those vasanas, those desires. It's the why, your intention behind them. It's not saying you're not allowed to desire, material things or pleasurable things. It's the the intention, the why. Like if it's with a really needy, greedy kind of like, yo, I need this. Yeah, that's when it becomes like something like, negative. If you're in it and it's like through the idea of like prosperity, it can be something so great and grand and help other people. And that's the thing with prosperity. Is prosperity is like life, it's like breath, it's like breathing. It almost gives life to everything around it, where it's like wealth hurts people. Wealth is detrimental to others. Wealth, you have to hurt or get over on somebody in order to accrue that wealth, right? Um, Open mic. Oh, hey, actually, I like that, bro. Um, yeah, okay, open mic Mondays. All right. Nah, for real, I appreciate that, man. I like to say vulnerability is our superpower, bro. And, that's that authenticity. The more we're vulnerable, the more we put ourselves out there, I think, the more we get to see what life has to offer for us, right? Like how life responds. And instead of it being like staying safe. I think the idea of comfort, right, is something that is taught to us at a very young age. Or if you work hard, you can accrue these things and be comfortable. But once you're comfortable, it's like, to me, that's when you become vulnerable in the negative way, right? You're vulnerable to disease. You're vulnerable to atrophy. You're vulnerable to like all these different things, right? That could be negative. Where if you're actually living a life of vulnerability, you're authentic. Like, I'm okay being who I am. I'm proud of just this is what I have to work with in this lifetime. I'm gonna use it to the best of my ability. Can I jump the highest? Am I the best looking? Am I this or that? Nah, but you are the best you, period. And you the only one that can be you and live your life experiences. So why not live from that perspective? That's all this is about, man. You know, um, you've been way better about eating, but still can't discipline yourself to exercise. Yo, what I'll say about it is, one, um, the the less we put the I can'ts or I won'ts or all of those things in. Yo, what up, Phil? Thanks, bro. Yo, if you can't subscribe for me, my G, um, the more we say we can't, the less chance you're gonna have of making that shit happen, right? Um, do things like, put on your workout clothes, get a pair of shorts, get some sneakers, get your workout clothes, get a jump rope, get whatever you think that you could do for 10 minutes, and put that shit out there in the morning. Put that on, and I bet you can do it for 10 minutes, and then that 10 minutes will turn to 15. That 15 will turn to 30, right? It's what I've learned over this exercise and discipline phase is the motivation comes after the effort, right? It's we don't get motivated just thinking about things, because the way we think about things is we think about them as other people's success. A lot of the times we're measuring through other people's success, what other people have done, and it's not about that. It's the doing it part. And once you start doing it, your body starts to go, oh, wait a second, I want to do that again. And oh, hey, yeah, I want to do that again. And that's the thing, it's the repetition. So I think that's where I got caught up, was trying to find the inspiration first, to be inspired to start when you got to just start. That's why I think Nike or Wieden Kennedy, whoever came up with the Just Do It campaign, it's one of the best phrases that came from a marketing campaign that is really a life lesson. That's really a life tool. It's like, bro, really, if you just do it, it's amazing. Like, I did a mushroom trip not too long ago, and that was literally one of the things that I wrote down. If you think it, do it. That's one of the things that we create suffrage by not doing a lot of the things that we want to do in life out of fear of failure, out of fear of embarrassment, out of fear of shame. And the idea that we can't do it, oh, that's crazy. Or making the excuse like, yo, like that's like, how long did I hesitate or procrastinate, prolong starting doing what I'm doing right now, right? I've made all the excuses in the world. Oh, I don't have the right setup. I don't have this. I don't have this light. I don't have this camera. I can't. All right, so where do I start? What's the starting point? What's the equivalent of me taking the first step? You know what I'm saying? And then doing that. And then, all right, now I'm at the second step. I mean, today, right? I pressed it at 7, an error occurred. It said I couldn't go live. I had to start it again on YouTube, right? I could have easily said, fuck it. I'm not even going to try it. We'll just do it next time. Nobody's going to know because it's only 3 people here anyway, right? You got to start. And that's the whole thing is we hold ourselves back from through the lens of judgment so often. And we're the worst when it comes to that. There's nobody that's going to say the shit we say to ourselves. It's crazy. And it doesn't hurt anybody but us. And so why do we do that? Again, I think it's to keep ourselves safe and it's to keep ourselves comfortable, right? Once you can be comfortable in the idea of being uncomfortable, things start to change. Because then you start to push yourself to those limits. Nobody thought we could have got through a pandemic. Nobody thought the world could just stop and everybody stays home. But we did it. We got through it to a point where there's a lot of motherfuckers act like that shit ain't never happened. Right? There's a lot of people that walk around that feel like, oh, that pandemic, yeah, it happened, but they don't act like it right now. It doesn't seem like that shit at all. And we got through that. So it's amazing the things that we can do if we put our minds to it. Now, there's also balance in figuring out, how far do we go on one thing and how long do we... So, like you were saying before, you work on fun, you work on work, but you don't work on taking care of yourself, right? So that's where I think the balance comes in. But it takes time, and that it takes time, and it takes consistency. I think consistency is one of the things that we fail to do because we're so quick to look for just the results, right? One of my boys just posted, it was saying, I think Mr. Beast, it took him 123 videos to reach 1,000 followers, I think over a year, right? And I think to get to 2,000 or 3,000 followers, it took like another year. So it doesn't happen overnight. But now you look at him, they just made him a press play plaque special because he's the first person to reach 400 million subscribers. So they had to make a special one. He's the only one close to it. So, again, like, you have to believe in yourself in a way like you're already successful. Like, and not care about what you look like, what anybody else could potentially think about you, or any of that shit. If you want to be successful in your endeavors, or at least give yourself the best chance at seeing if you can do something, right? But once you start to allow your judgments to muddy the waters, you're not even going to get out the gate, Paralysis by overanalysis. I was really good at that one. I can still get down with that, in a really bad way. But it's having the awareness and then being able to work on it, right? And I think also especially for me, being able to share it. Um, I think that part is so important. You know, I also feel like people look at me and how I've shared my progress and things that I've done. Like, one, I want to go back and eventually I'm gonna go interview some of my IRL stuff. Like I'm gonna go interview like my chiropractor, who I still see to this day, and I started seeing him back in 2017. I have a little what is it when you have the curve in your spine? Um, Not stenosis. Ah, I forget what it's called exactly, but I got that. I got like a little curvature in my spine. My C4, 5, and 6 are all herniated, right? Those discs are all herniated, and scoliosis exactly. So I got scoliosis. I have 4, 5, 6 are herniated, even though they say that most Americans have a herniated C4 or 5 by the time they're like 20 or 21 years old, which is wild, right? So there's a book out there if y'all want to check it out. It's called Healing Back Pain. It's one of the books I read also. Basically, the theory is 75 to 80%, or maybe even more, of back pain is mental. So before the 20th century, there wasn't a lot of back injuries in this country. And there was way more manual labor jobs back then, right? Well, all of a sudden, motherfuckers start sitting at the desk, and everybody has bad back now. Everybody's tore up now. Everybody needs to go to the chiropractor, right? Or were they just beefing up that part of the medical industry at that time, right? Getting people to want to go to physical therapy, go see chiropractors, go see all these specialists. Because remember, healthcare is a business in this country. It's not really about your health. And so, I was on this machine where, like, the inversion joints where you hang upside down. Basically, he was saying that's good in one extent that you're creating spaces, right, in between each of your discs. So that's good. The issue is our spines are kind of like a, what is this shit called? A slinky, right? So if our spines are like, if you let a slinky go, that shit stretches out and then it doesn't slinky. So our spines do the same thing. So you have me on this inversion table and it basically pulls you apart and then back together. Pulls you apart and back together. Did that for like, I think I did 100, I forget how many visits it was. It was a lot though. And, I do these things quietly and just did it, but I never knew about it until I found it. And that to me, like, is what really got me into this journey of and kind of curious about it, and kind of became a game, because it's like, all right, well, what else is off and how else can we adjust things to fix them and make them better, make myself stronger. Because mentally, when you're in pain like that, a lot of the times you don't want to do things, and you start to hold back in living life and doing certain kinds of activities. And that's not fun, right? And again, it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of work. It's part of, again, why I want to talk about these things is these aren't quick fixes. And we're not looking to just be good now. We're starting to think about, especially as you get older, it's like you want to think about 20, 25 years from now. Don't take your current physical shape right now for granted. If you're in tip-top shape, how can I be in tip-topper shape? You know what I'm saying? And make it even better. How can I not just maintain this, but elevate as well? Because once you start to get older, you're not going to be able to work out as much. And that's kind of where my mental, that's my intentions went, right? It's how can I be my best self now and in the future? How can I look at, what are some of the struggles my parents are going through? What are the ailments? What are the things that they have? Those are some things I might see, down the road that I'm going to have to address, right? So what are the things that I can do right now in order to get ahead of those things? And that's how I started thinking. It really became a game. And, And also, it's constantly changing. I might add something into a routine, or I might remove a routine and stop doing something, right? It might be because I don't have enough, time in the day, or I might have to get up earlier now. Supplements. What am I taking, and am I maximizing them? Am I doubling up on things I shouldn't be doubling up? Am I taking things that are potentially, contradictory to each other, or could affect me in a negative way? So you got to stay present and mindful of all of these things, and understand that it's not a one-time fix. Your body's constantly changing. You go through different things. You might have injuries. You might have surgeries. You might have whatever it may be that you have to address as you keep going. So, again, comfort is the devil. Comfort is not your friend. Comfort is not the goal you want to be looking for to have a happy and healthy life. You want a little pain. You want some struggle. You want to challenge your body. One of the greatest things that I learned was shocking your body, right? When you shock your body, you strengthen things like your immune system. You strengthen things like resilience. You strengthen things like presence and mindfulness. When you shock your body, you strengthen breath. Cold showers, right? Get you to lower your heart rate, strengthen your rest, but also after you clean yourself, that cold shower closes your pores up, right? Protects you from getting sick. So there's a lot of different things. Intermittent fasting. After 14 or 16 hours, your body starts to eat the necessary reserves of fat that we have in our bodies. So that shocking of our bodies is something that I think a lot of us should do. Fasting is a shock to your body. Holding your breath. So I do Wim Hof, right? 35 breaths deep. 35 breaths like that, and then you hold as long as you can. And once you can't hold anymore, you inhale for another 15 seconds, right? And you inhale another deep breath and then hold that for 15 seconds. And then you exhale and start over. And I do like 3 rounds of that a day. So all these different ways to kind of shock my body, right, in order to strengthen it. And it's funny because if I heard these things 20, 30 years ago, I'm like, that sounds like I'm hurting my body. That sounds like I'm putting too much pressure on my body. But no, you're creating strength and resilience. You're fortifying your immune system. You're building it up, strengthening it. You're helping with your circadian rhythm. You are giving yourself a better chance in challenging situations. There's so many different benefits. But what we're looking for is rest and comfort. And, I just want to feel what I think is good, So that's, sharing my story, what I've done. I think that's, again, a huge part. It's how do we inspire others? I believe we inspire others by sharing our truths, and when it resonates with others, that's when they go, oh, well, hey, how did you start with this? Or hey, how can I do something like that too? And then that's when we can kind of share and give some real advice and things of that nature, and not make, because that's the other thing, like, I don't want y'all to think that I'm just out here throwing advice at y'all and I'm saying, I know everything. One thing I've learned in life, I don't know shit. Word. Like, not to be on no weirdo, but just real talk. Like, I don't know shit. I can learn something from everybody. The most ignorant person on this planet knows something that you don't know. That's deep to me. I think that shit is really dope. Because you never know, and that person could be a friend of yours. That could person become a comrade, a brother, a sister to you. And just because, they didn't look like it or whatever, you never know. So I think the more we can have this back and forth, the more we can have an open dialogue. Lando, I like the open mic idea. I thought that was really dope. Because because that's really what it's about. Like, this is truly an open mic. This is a way for people, myself, to be able to air things out, as well as for others to, like, that's what I love about doing my podcast. My last episode with DJ Spinner, he literally asked, like, are you a therapist? And it was like, nah, I never wanted to be a therapist. I just believe that if we have these conversations, this dialogue with our friends, a lot of the times we could alleviate the need for therapy sometimes, right? Not say you just automatically replaces therapy because you're having conversations with your friends, but sometimes we end up in need just because we just need to be heard. We just need somebody to listen to us, and not just listen sometimes, but when they can relate to us also, bro, that's such an added value. Like, that's a huge plus. It's like when somebody knows you and they can listen. That, like, if y'all really want to give somebody a gift, learn how to listen to them. That's one of the best things you could give to people, man. Is just listening. I think it's one of the most difficult things to do, right? Is to actively listen without trying to listen to respond or try to fix anything, but just listen. Yeah, that's when I practice. It's like, if you ever have a conversation with me and you hear me like breathing while we're talking, that's me trying to focus on just being present and listening. Just allowing whatever needs to be said, and then being able to respond back, what I think that person said, what I think they're feeling, and what I think they need. So, if there's any of this resonates with you, we're going to be here every Monday, Mask Off Mondays, or open mic, whatever we end up calling it. That's what these days will really be about. There'll be 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., 2-hour windows. Topics are life, mental health, and hip-hop culture. It'll, be open dialogue. What's going on. It might be, something that happened. We'll get into some things today, things that we've been talking about. But, sometimes I might bring some guests on. I think that'll be fun as well. And, like I said, we're going to, start here in, like, my little mini man cave and figure out, where we take this and what it really looks like. But I'm down for any ideas, things that you guys, want to see, or topics that you guys want to have discussed. We'll have an email that you can obviously send those things to, or questions. I'll be able to address those, or even hop in the chat, and we can do it that way. What else? Wisdom Wednesdays we do from Fly Private Social. I'm going to figure those out. At least once or twice a month we'll do those, maybe for the Cypher. The Cypher is the first Wednesday of every month, which is actually this Wednesday. So we may look at doing that this Wednesday. And then, I'm going to find nights to cook, and, maybe bring some guests on and cook and things like that. Maybe even go to some people, restaurants and other things of that nature. Fuck around and, be I could get on some Bourdain shit for real. Like, I wouldn't mind doing some segments like that as well. And then either Saturdays or Sundays, we're going to do a day for rituals, right? I think the practices that we embrace and become part of our regimen, those become our rituals, man. And I think it's, not just the exercises, not just the meditations and things of that nature. It could be walks. It could be, stopping and just looking at nature and appreciating nature and life, from the most ironic, not even ironic, unexpected, we'll say that, listening to a podcast. Yo, T-Bone, join me on YouTube, bro. Come to the YouTube channel, man. It's pinned right there in the comments. Damn, I forgot what I was just saying. Fuck. I wish you could smoke on here, but I hear YouTube and Twitch don't like that shit. Yeah, but, like I said, the long-term vision for this is just to inspire and engage with my peers, my community, and hopefully get everybody on their path of, wanting and working on being their best self and discipline. So books, might even do like a book club, right? There's definitely a few books out there that I think, would be dope to read together. We could do that here. I think that would be pretty interesting as well. Because I think that's another thing, right? Is um, there's in mindfulness, there's so many different techniques and practices and perspectives, and it's fun to listen to and to you know go down that path of exploration with them, and then add in what feels great for you and what works in these moments, and then like I said, it's a constant evolution and adaptation of these things to see what works best and to create that balance. And, we'll just keep growing this space together, man. Like, I think we can do this. I think it's needed. I think it's necessary. And I really don't think there's a big crowd out there, because also, like we talked about before, what's always going to set me apart from everybody else is I'm the only one that can be me. I'm the only one in my skin. I'm the only one with my life's experiences, and I enjoy doing this shit. I can't even front, man. Like, I like, sharing in this way. I miss it also. I miss having these opportunities to talk like this. I miss having the magazine, and again, the thing with the magazine and everything. I think I like the way I like to look at what we do in culture is just reflect, right? We absorb information, we absorb knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and we reflect back out, and that's what it's about. That's what life is about, and that's what I'm going to continue to do here. And so that's basically the intro of what we're doing with this channel. If you like it, if you feel that, if you're watching this after you stumbled onto this, make sure you just subscribe, comment, follow, and the prompt always that we love to hear you get answered in any comment is, what does success mean to you? And really think about that. Sometimes you don't have to answer it right away. Let that sink in. Contemplate on that. Let it bubble for a second, and come back to it, because it might change. What does success mean to you today in this moment? What does a successful day look like for you? Right? Maybe we have to think about what success as a whole. What does a successful day look like for you? Are you waking up in the morning with that attitude of gratitude? Are you thinking about one thing, that I could be grateful for from the prior day? One thing, actually, what I want to work on? I was listening to Rick Rubin talk on a podcast, and he was talking about how he remembers his dreams and how he started. And he was like, the less movement you make when you wake up, the better chance you have of remembering your dream. And I thought that was really interesting, because I can never remember my dreams, right? But a lot of the times, the first thing I do when I wake up is I go to the bathroom. And so it's like, automatically, everything flows out in me, literally and figuratively. Oh man, but right, the open mic drop was dope, right, T-Bone? And another thing is, like, I feel like I have so many dope conversations with individuals that, that's another reason I was inspired to really do this and open up. Is individually, we're vulnerable. Individually, we're open. Individually, we love. Like, I got so many of my friends, bro, that I tell them I love you, like, constant. Me and T-Bone, 1,000%, right? And, but in a big group, would we say it? In front of a big audience, would we still feel that same way? But I want us to have that courage, that authenticity to be able to express ourselves, like in the way we want to. And Actually, that's a good segue into like I've been listening to some new music out there. Um, and who is it? Oh, this kid Bruiser Wolf. I just found out he's one of like Danny Brown's artists. But shout out to Ambrosia for Heads. They put out a list of like dope underground artists or independent artists that you should be checking on right now. And Bruiser Wolf was one of them. He sounds like E40 meets Sugar Free meets Too Short, and it's dope. But he's from Detroit, and he's just got a like he's got a dope flow. He's like, what do you say? It's like you said some wild things, but you gotta watch your tone, Loke. And he'll just put together some good bars. He's like, if I rap about a bird, that's a crowbar. And so it was refreshing, to get out of the uh, the Drake Kendrick bullshit, because that's just been going for so long. It was just so different, and it was kind of just like refreshing. And so I've been listening to that. Been listening to Tyler. I think the new Tyler album is pretty dope. It's interesting how much influence Pharrell has had on Tyler. It's like you can hear it so much in his production, everything. Even when they're on a song together, it's like, and I love it because really it's like giving an artist their flowers because he's so open in sharing how much he really like fucks with Pharrell and always has, and it's I think that's what I feel like we've been missing for so long is that connection and that ability to be able to talk amongst the generations and it not be like, oh well, why are you rapping? You're old now, or that rap is a young man's sport, or whatever. Because I feel like when rap first started, it was not an old man sport, but definitely kind of like the older OGs kind of was like leading it, and then all of a sudden it became young. And they say everything goes in cycles, so we'll give it a cycle and all of that. But I mean, I'm here again to bridge these gaps. I believe that's what our generation is supposed to do. Generation X, we are the translation generation. We are the last of analog. We are the first of digital. We are that bridge, But we didn't get a chance to be the OGs. The internet, is the youth. That's the OG. If they need something, you know, we used to go outside. We used to, go see the OGs on the corners. We used to walk by them. We used to run up on them. We used, and that's how we learn. But it's a different time now. But I think we're starting to see that, and I feel like music is going to be a huge opportunity to bridge that if we allow it, right? And I think if we're intentional about how we connect now and how we celebrate one another, man, like let's not be so rigid and like block things and like I just want to throw our eyes out. I say this all the time. I know I talk about it a lot, but I wish we didn't move with our eyes so much. I wish we moved with our hearts and our guts. That's where we connect. We connect through our hearts. We connect through that frequency of love, right? And let's not be scared of the word love. Love doesn't mean I wanna kiss you love is our natural frequency. Love is walking through life and having gratitude and being appreciative of just being alive, of all the living things, of what I'm saying, like, smiling cause you can, cause you breathing, like that. That's where we want to be, and I think we can do it if like we just don't allow our eyes to dictate so much, man. Like they say, our eyes are windows to our soul. I feel like our eyes are projectors of past experience through a judgmental lens, jumbled up with constant absorption of information, and we store it, in our brains or in our feelings, and then if something else similar comes up, we regurgitate that back out. And love kind of operates in a not necessarily a similar way, but you find frequencies that you attach to, and it's like love puts you in a more connective, positive space where your eyes are more judgmental, resistant. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all. Um, like, yeah, like I just, again, our hearts are, and then our hearts are the connection, and our guts are like the navigation, right? They're gonna tell us good versus bad. They're gonna allow us, especially if you keep your gut health strong, right? That means everything we eat is important. Not just the food we eat, the information we consume, the emotions that we hold on to and reflect out and live and choose, all of those things, become that. So we have to be very intentional with how we're moving. But yeah, I'm excited, man, to see if we can really, you know, that's again probably why I'm on this platform too. Like, how can we bridge that gap, man? How can we just kind of keep connecting? Um, and I think again, hip hop for me is such a big connector. It's like, how many of y'all? Most of the people who have been in this chat or have commented or spoke to, it's like, I know you through some form of hip hop, whether it be fashion, which Lando and T-Bone, or cannabis. I was at a music convention selling weed. That's how I got to New York. So it's all intertwined in that way to me. And the thing with hip hop as a culture, it's also reflective of the greater whole, right? Is influenced and started by a very specific people, right, in a very specific place at a very specific time. But even within that, there's a diversity to it, right? That if we learn to embrace that, we can truly celebrate and then move forward together without the resistance of who owns this or who's that, or you can participate but you can, or you're okay if it's just this or that but you can't have ownership. And it's like, nah, we need to figure out a way where we can celebrate how this brought everybody together, and it allows us to be us, right? But it allows us to be us and connect with each other in a way that feels familiar, you know? So yeah, like, but who should I be listening to now? Anybody got any, some albums or some artists we should check out? Like, who's somebody dope? I put y'all on the Bruiser Wolf. Make sure y'all check him out. Yeah, who else is out there, man? What else should we check out? And don't send me to TikTok and just be like, go do that. Oh, that's dope. Bruiser. Okay, okay. Who else? What else y'all got out there? So I think, I think he's really dope, yo. It's just fun, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's part of what I feel like was missing a little bit in hip hop too, was the playfulness, you know? Like, we haven't had that in a while. Like, I don't think, at least, maybe I'm bugging, I'm just not remembering somebody, but I just feel like that playfulness, wasn't there. Like, it's serious, but it's not, and I just think that shit is dope. And it's all the play on words and everything. Like, shit is dope. What up, one? Yo, tap into the YouTube for me, bro, if you can. The link is right there and it's pinned. What else? Oh, current events. One thing that came up that was pretty wild, man. Y'all know, cannabis is a big part of what I do and always have. Chef for Hire, we're the first culinary brand, in the legal market. And Out here in New York, the every legal market has had its issues because they're doing it state by state. We're not federally legal yet, and so as these programs roll out, there's these different hurdles that each one creates, and so yeah, they just announced last week that they did the proximity measurements incorrect for these dispensaries. And there's 152 dispensaries that are already open or approved to open with locations that they already have. Excuse me. With locations that they already have. And now they might have to move, or they're telling them they might have to move, right? That's crazy. But they're like, oh, we'll give you $250,000. $250,000. What's that going to do in New York? Especially in the city. I think 88 of these spots are in the city. What I really think this is, so the reason this smells fishy to me is because the OCM, the Office of Cannabis Management, is connected to the SLA, right? They have different teams. It's not the same exact people. But they are within the same infrastructure. So what happened is they're saying that in the cannabis laws, the way the proximity rulings works with schools and places of worship is that they're measured from the property lines, right? Not door to door. SLA for liquor license, it's door to door. What up, Talim? Yo, pop over to YouTube for me, bro. The link is right there. They so now, like I said, they're telling all these people they gotta move. But first of all, why would they make it different, right? Why? Like, there's no point in making that law different because it's already kind of like, again, I'm not going to say it's a dumb law, right? But in a city like New York, that's very difficult to do. Because there's also a lot of schools. This law came into effect in 1999, I think. So like 26 years ago. And there have been schools built after this which break the proximity rules, right? So they can obviously exist and nobody's dying and all this other stuff and it's not a big deal, right? But it just seems the powers that be try to do dumb shit that could just easily have been circumvented. And so to get back to my theory, I believe this all came about because Governor Hochul wants to use it for her campaign, right? I think she sees the power in how many people are voting for cannabis in this state, and she wants to use it for like brownie points for when she does her campaign. Because she's going to come in and look like the hero and get this rewritten or whatever. And it's like, you didn't even have to say nothing. You could have just left this alone, got it rewritten, and said, look, we made a mistake, sent a letter to everybody, said, don't worry about it, you guys are good though. We changed the law. Period. But like Lando said, they shoot themselves in the foot daily. And this is one of the things that I really don't like about the government and the laws and structures in this country, because it's just it just seems like such bullshit so often, and there's nothing we can do about it. Like, we just gotta go with these punches, and it just, again, it's so easy. I know this, right? It's so easy from the outside to say, oh, it's easy to fix this, that, and the third. We also have to understand there's so many mechanisms and deals and things that have been in place and going on for, since this shit started in, 1776? that it's not as easy as it looks from the outside. Now, is that right? Nah, I don't think that's good. It is what it is, though. But it just seems like they don't want to get this right. They don't want this industry to actually work until it only benefits them, is my guess. And I think, I think the plot has always been to be able to out tread us, right, in the water, and let us burn out. The main goal, I think, especially with these big multi-state operators, the big heavily funded companies, is to eventually just sell to pharmaceutical companies, and cannabis somehow just gets absorbed into and under, you know, the pharmaceutical industry, and then big tobacco comes in and they have all the fields and they grow everything. That's what I feel like it is. Yo, Tad, Wale, whoever's on here still, come over to the YouTube channel, bro. It's HWMK111. We're streaming live on the YouTube. Is that how the kids say it? The YouTube. But yeah, like, but that's why we do these practices, right? That's why I work so hard, because if I allowed all of these things that are out of my control to determine my reality, how I feel right now in these moments, I would be pulled and pushed and sucked into so many different emotions and directions. I wouldn't know which way is up, because none of it makes sense. It's there. All of this is out here just to confuse us, just to keep us anxious, just to keep us scared, just to put us in a scarcity mindset, right? Meanwhile, they're all in cahoots. They're all working together behind, doing what they need to do, lobbying together, sharing their information, and doing what benefits them as a whole, right? Meanwhile, us, we were great lobbying, we were great advocating before, and going up to Albany and all that. As soon as everybody got licenses, no more camaraderie, no more brotherhood, sisterhood, no more each one. Nah. You know what I'm saying? Peace, Tad. Good looks, bro. It became every man, woman, and person for themselves. And it's unfortunate, because I truly believe we're stronger together, right? We have, through our authenticity, we have influence, so much influence. And influence is a commodity that is very hard for them to replicate. Since I have been working in places where advertising dollars, advertising has been bought and sold, I have learned how much the black, quote unquote, urban communities influence purchasing, the purchasing power that it's had. It to me is almost immeasurable. But it's also grown to something beyond just the black community or the quote unquote urban community. It's really, I don't know how we measure this and how we really identify. BIPOC, I guess, is the closest we can say to it, right? But it's culture. It's not really an ethnicity to me. It's a culture, and that culture is hip hop, right? That's why I say it's so important for us to be able to identify and define what hip hop is. And I'm gonna say this here. I've said it before, but this is my first stream on YouTube, and this is gonna live here. I believe hip hop is the most authentic expression of the modern human experience. And that authenticity is a frequency that we've attached to, and there's a very, very, very simple formula that hip hop has used since its inception, or since I've seen it. It's, this is who we are, this is where we're from, this is what we do, and this is why we're fly. Like, this is why we're dope, right? Whether you're a graffiti artist, Tats Crew from 170BX, da 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 da, right? We do murals and da da, or, you know, we're BDP from the Boogie Down Bronx, and bro, it's like we all did that and reflected our local influences to other people around us, right? And that's how it just kept growing, and everybody did the same thing. That's where our power is. But we're so, disjointed that we can't. Even this cannabis industry, it's the same shit. Like, it's like that influence of hip hop is what's kept cannabis in the forefront, right? It's, besides like a Tom Petty, besides like a couple, obviously Willie Nelson and people like that, Cheech and Chong's, it's been hip hop, it's been rap music or hip hop culture that has kept cannabis front. Couple that with what was it, Prop 215 in California about the medicinal side and all of the research doing that. But it's been hip hop that's really kept it in the mainstream culture, right? And so even with that, it's like we just need to find a way to work together and harness this influence, man, and we can start owning these industries, and not just participating in them in a way where they allow a few of us to rise up. This could be something bigger than that. And again, but we got to see ourselves and one another in order to really do it. So, we're witnessing history. We're always witnessing history. We're witnessing, though, right now, and interesting, is it truly an opportunity, or is it something that they're just kind of waving in front of us saying, oh, well, hey, you have a chance, kind of, but the more I think we band together, the more we're able to have a unified voice, the more we can actually move this needle and sway some decisions, in our favor. But it's now. Like, it's the time is now, and we got to get on it. Because making it legal is like, it's a long road, but it's something I think that if we could ever do it right, where the plant is descheduled, it's not overly regulated like it is now, not overly taxed like it is now, and there's a little bit more opportunity for free enterprise, like, you can do small batch liquor and beers and things of that nature easily. You don't have to have crazy licenses and all this other stuff. We need to be able to do it that way. Obviously, tobacco is a little bit more difficult. You can't just come up with a cigarette company. In order to get that license, it's really difficult. But again, that's all monopolization of industry so that they can hoard their dollars for themselves. But we know what that's about. What else? Yeah, I guess the other part is staying present, man. Checking in on our mental health. One of my guests that I'm working on, Malik Youssef, we're starting something called the Check On Collective, and he and I have been in each other's corners for a long time, unknowingly, giving each other a lot of life advice throughout our friendship that really helped, and having these just conversations. And so we're also looked at as kind of like the strong ones, and it's like the dialogue of, oh, yo, nobody checks on me kind of comes up. And it's like, well, who are those out there that are doing that work that maybe could use that check, and would appreciate it, the kind of that unexpected vibe. There's a lot of us that really, hold down our communities and that person for, our peer groups and the people around us. But just because we do the work, just because we do it, doesn't mean we don't need a check-in. right? We don't need somebody to see, yo, how are you doing today, bro? Like, how's life treating you right now? Like, how are you feeling in this moment? Um, Sorry, cause fuck. I just one of my good friends, somebody who actually used to check in on me a bunch, actually just passed away, and it was you know kind of shocking, and because he was somebody that in life just lived his way, for better or for worse. He definitely did some wild things. I won't get into everything right now, but he's a friend who fell off a four-story building and survived. So we always had this joke that he had like 9 lives. And I guess, now it's like I think we miscounted, because he's found unexpectedly in his home lifeless. Sucks. And, I was literally making plans to go see him this month, and we always ate like kings, and it was just one of those people that you have in your life where it's like, you're always happy to hear his voice, even when talking shit. So it's like, I think it's important. I don't feel, obviously we don't think about saying goodbye. It's weird to say goodbye, right? But I also don't feel like we left on any kind of terms that we weren't solid. I think we were great, especially the idea of making plans. Like, we were in the middle of that and wanting to see each other, and we were making the effort to do that. So, it's not that, but it was the shock of it. It was like, in a selfish way, like, damn, bro, you couldn't have waited till at least I went out there, you know what I'm saying, and then decided to do this shit. But again, that's why I think it's important to check on your people. I think it's important to tell your people you care about them and tell them you love them, because you never know. Me and my kids, especially my son that lives with me, we don't leave each other without telling you I love you, and because like I just said, it's important. You never know, and you don't want it to be anything where, you would question that. You know what I'm saying? So I think checking on people, I think, is very important. And how do we just encourage people to do that, right? Like, when I say that, there's a part of me that gets embarrassed for not checking in on somebody, or I haven't done it. And then I hesitate more because, like, well, now I haven't do it, but they don't know you didn't do it. Like, just hit them, you know? So how do we get out of our own way so we're able to do that? How do we, stay present? And that's why I think that prompt, like, what does success mean to you, is important. I don't think I've seen anybody post in there, in the chat, what does success mean to you? I'm curious if anybody's still here, what y'all think, because it's not always just achievements. It's like, I think a lot of the things that we look at as achievements are the things that we accrue, the material things, a house, cars, whatever. All that shit is temporary, right? A house can burn down right away. My breath, my peace, like, those are things that are, important. Like, the things that give us breath, this air, right? I always do this. I can't grab this. I can't take it. I can't put it in a package, sell it to you, and make it as valuable as it is. This is invaluable, right? This is like, holy, I can't measure this, the value of this, without that one sun that we got up in the sky. What are we doing? We're not here. We're not breathing. We're not living. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, I think, again, we're so distracted, man. We give away our time so easily, man. I watch myself say, look at the clock, it's 11, next thing you know, it's 11:20. I just wasted 20 minutes doing nothing but scrolling and looking at social media. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I think it's very important we become intentional with the things we're doing. We become intentional with our time. And a lot of that, what up, Javier? Yo, we're over on YouTube if you want to join us over there. The link is in the, it's pinned in the comment section. Um, but it's about staying present, so you can do that. It's about staying present. So like y'all are saying in the chat, I'm saying, it only takes a second to say hello or shout something out, no matter what you're going through. It's just right there, you know. Yeah, man, love you too, bro. And again, like, it's important, and also, I think it's also important to acknowledge your people, right? Um, like like T-Bone and I, we have these conversations. What up, y'all on Instagram? Yo, join us on YouTube, man. The pin that's the link is pinned in the comments. But when I reflect on some of my people's like T-Bone, since you're in this chat, it's it's so dope because you've inspired me in so many different ways, by being just naturally who you are, right? You're somebody whose energy is infectious. You've always been that dude. You know what I mean? Like, you walk in a room, you light it up because you're gonna smile. You're gonna come in there, you're gonna say something, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna have the story to tell, right? And it's not like I'm doing this to be better than you or to whatever else, but it's just naturally who I am. Like, and this is what I'm doing in my life. Why don't be mad because I'm living my life, or sharing things, the books, right? The Vedanta Triaties. You shared that with me so long ago, bro, and it stuck around and came back twice in my life. And so, being able to acknowledge and appreciate your friends that do these things and are inspirations for you. You're always taking risks, you're always trying the next thing, and I really don't believe you give a fuck about what anybody else says and thinks, and I love that. You know what I'm saying? And I learned, and model certain things after that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I say that's dope. Tad, who's in here also, Uncle Tad, like, I moved to his block in January of 1994. You know what I'm saying? Love that, bro. And back then, that hood was the hood. Super gentrified in the area now in Clinton Hill, but that was the hood. And Tad was one of the people, the enforcers in that hood. And to watch his evolution, because he's always been super smart, super knowledgeable, but sometimes you have to put a mask on, to live in a certain place, to live in a certain time, to live through some of the things we had to grow up in naturally, not the shit we asked for or was looking for, just naturally where we was born. But to see his evolution now, grandfather, like, bro, his health, running fucking marathons and shit. All from somebody that grew up in circumstances and was somebody that, if you put him in a lineup, would be like, oh nah, he's gonna be dead and da 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 da, and or he won't make it, and he this. But now to see that and how much he inspires other people around him and the wisdom he's been able to gain through his years of experience, it's beautiful, and I think that's all we need, is to have, yeah, Neville just said it, meaningful connections, authentic connections, things that resonate. Neville, bro, I've known Neville since I was fucking 12 years old, you know. He's probably not, yeah, I would say, yeah, he's the oldest friend I have. He's the person I've known for the longest that I still speak to on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a couple other people I still know from middle school and shit like that, but I still speak to Nev. Nev is the godfather of, my younger son. And, again, through thick, through thin, like, there's this brotherhood, and throughout life, that's what we need. That's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is having those connections, right? Having a camaraderie, right? Having a feeling of connection, of relatability, and like, and also that connection provides a comfort and safety and feeling of like, support. you know? And for our mental health, that shit is so important, man. And I don't want us to take things like that for granted. I want us to be able to say those things like, bro, I love y'all, man. Like, it, it's it, it's a beautiful thing to be able to say it. And I've said this many times before, and I'll keep saying it. It does more for the person saying I love you than it does for the person you are saying it to, because it creates a higher vibrational frequency and it opens up your heart. Also, you don't even know if the other person can receive it, because that's the other thing. It's like, if our hearts are closed and we're defensive and we're in this resistant space, we're not able to receive that positivity, right? We might even deflect that shit and knock it out the way. So being the one to say it, being the one to say it with intention of just giving, right? Not even expecting the person to say anything back. That doesn't even matter. They do, that's incredible, right? That's the icing on the cake. But that's not why you do it. You do it because you mean it. You do it because it helps to open those other people up and give them something, that recognition. And again, we all want to be seen. We all want to be acknowledged. It's basic human needs, right? And being told and given that kind of love is, again, like, these are things you can't really put a price on, man. And, given that unconditionally, being that type of person, we want to leave here empty, right? We don't want to leave here with regrets. We don't want to leave here thinking about, oh, I should have, could have, would have done this, or if I had done that and this and that. Nah, give that person their flowers now. Give them all their love now. You know what I'm saying? Tell them you appreciate them. Because, again, what's it going to hurt? Like, it doesn't hurt. And, I think, the more we stay present, I think the more we work on being present, the more all the other bullshit kind of melts away. Like, breath, right? How often do you think of breath? Throughout the day. Like, do you think about breathing, or is your body just breathing autonomously? It's just naturally breathing at this point, right? Because your body's going to survive. It wants to survive. Your heart is beating, your blood is flowing, there's oxygen in your brain, right? You need breath. But how often do you think about it? How often do you just come to center and say, how often can you imagine something positive, light, strength, discipline, whatever you want to think of, inhaling in and then just exhaling out everything that you don't need, baggage, negativity, negative thoughts, judgments, criticism. And then how can you just get in this moment and then get back into it, right? So just being able to have that awareness, that presence throughout the day, that's what we're practicing for. That's the less people that can manipulate you and push you and move you off of your square, or off balance, or however you kind of look at it, that's strength to me. All right? Strength doesn't mean you can beat somebody up and you're physically stronger than them and da-da-da-da. It's like, because that doesn't always equate to an automatic win, right? But that ability to be you, unapologetically you, like, that's what I wish for everybody, that's what I want. So sometimes, having that, just that nice little breath, that reset, just gets us in a great space, man. Yeah, nah, I mean, it's actually part of it, man, is the breathing. I'm glad you said that. And it does. That's why I kind of did that there. And we'll eventually get that to, maybe we'll do different kinds of breath throughout. Maybe it just might be a quick, minute of silence and we get our breath in. But I'm very happy that you said that. Because, again, this is just, like Lando said, this is just open mic. This is just mask off. This is just revealing. Like, if we don't reveal the things we're going through, how do we heal them, right? If we don't reveal that we're human, if we don't reveal that, I face challenges, I have negative thoughts, I'm scared about certain things, I worry about other things, how do we relate to each other? How do we connect, right? But then the more we have that connection, the more we release all the negative parts of it, right? That to me is the funny part, and why I'm so curious of why we're so resistant to connecting with people. But I really believe that's where our eyes come in. Our eyes have told us so many past stories that we hold on to and project into the current moments instead of allowing each moment to be its own individual thing. And that's not to say we don't take the knowledge and wisdom from past experiences and apply it forward. It's just we don't allow it to determine this new experience, right? We may use it in response to the experience, but also understand that this experience is brand new and happening right this second and no other time. It's a lot, man. Life is it's just an interesting space, man. And like even this, right? So I had this idea of starting this last month, and then I was asking, I was working with AI with ChatGPT and trying to figure it out, and timing, right? I don't believe in time. I just believe in timing. Time and words are just agreements for us to be able to communicate and to be able to meet and create deadlines and things of that nature, right? But, August is National Wellness Month. So it's interesting that we decided to start this the first Monday of National Wellness Month. Started my podcast during, Mental Health Awareness Month and then Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So it's like there's all this alignment of it, which just reinforces my why. Like I should be doing this is when. So when I have these questions and I'm judging myself, it's like I remember these things. Yo, Mick, hop over to YouTube, bro. The URL's in the comments section. It's pinned. And it's like it all happens when it's supposed to happen, and that's just it. Like I am trying my best to allow any resistance around those thoughts to just fade away and to really just embrace everything I'm doing is when it's supposed to happen. Every challenge, every success is when it's supposed to happen. How am I going to utilize that to move forward in my best capacity, period? If you're here on Instagram, pull up on us at YouTube. So I think it's dope that National Wellness Month. Now, I like to use these months as reminders and as prompts, right? But my goal is for every day to be National Wellness Day, for every day to be Mental Health Awareness Day, to every day be a day of gratitude, to every, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the goal. It's not, like, I feel like what they've programmed us with is celebration. You have to be given permission, right? It has to be on a calendar. Oh, it's a national this day, or it's this holiday, or it's for it to be recognized, or it's your birthday, or it's an anniversary, or I got a promotion. But when do I just celebrate life? When do I celebrate my friends? They don't tell us that. I can only celebrate my friends on their birthdays. I can't just celebrate you because you've been my friend for 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever. Like, so we have to take ownership and not wait for the permission. We have to do it. It's ours. Nobody else can make us happy. Nobody else can make us joyful unless we choose to allow that. So, I want to invite you to, let's do this every day. Let's make this an everyday practice. Gratitude, celebration, authenticity, vulnerability. Let's use these things every day. Let it be our way of life and not just for special occasions, right? They don't have to just be for when we dress up, we act a certain way. Nah, let's incorporate all of these things that make us feel good as well as the people around us. Because the more we contribute to the greater good of the whole, to me, the more this life flows. To me, the more we're able to really, really live and enjoy. Because, bro, it's amazing. We're on a fucking rock floating through space right now. And we have life. And there's civilization. And there's, like, millions of years we've been alive on this planet and evolving into what we are today. I think that shit is incredible. We are in an ill-ass movie every single day. And you are the lead actor in your own movie. We're all playing, supporting actor roles in each other's movies at the same time. All right? But in order to play positive roles, to play, be a great supporting actor, we need to work on ourselves, right? So how can every day be, National Wellness, National Mental Health, Gratitude Day? How can you get in some daily movement? How can you get in some contemplation and journaling and really, use your mind? How can you challenge your brain? How can we do some mindful eating? How can we cut down on the negative thinking, right? The judgment and all these other things so that we have space for more positivity. It's up to us, right? Build, destroy, right? Tear apart, create an elevation. Right? It's up to us. The choice is literally yours. How you respond. You want to create anxiety and stress. And so that's why, we're going to do this. This is going to be Mondays. This will be our check-ins with each other. Again, just to repeat, it's life, mental health, and hip-hop. To me, these are the kind of oneness things. We're all living life, right? We're all seeing things that are happening on a daily basis, current events, just life. We have to live. And through life, our mental health, our emotional mindset, our emotional intelligence, all these things are important to our quality of life, right? So we got to focus on our mental health. We have to do that work. But to me, the mental health is also the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, it's all of those things. Because they all kind of tap in with each other. They're all kind of interconnected. The more I work out, the more I feel good mentally. The more I feel good mentally, the more I want to work out, right? So they go hand in hand. The more we're distracted, the less we want to do of the positive shit. So that's why the mindfulness and that's why those practices are important. And then hip-hop, again, like I said, it's the authentic expression of our modern experience. It's what ties us together in so many different ways. And I think, for me, talking about that, it could be the music, it could be the style and the fashion, it could be, so many different things. So, these are the topics, these are the things we're going to be talking about here. And again, it's an every week check-in. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Sav, what up? Yo, we just started streaming on YouTube, so I'm just getting everybody to move over to YouTube, bro. If you haven't subscribed for me, my G, I appreciate you. And yeah, man, and just building our community. So, eventually we'll start taking like live questions and a lot more interactions once we start to really build the audience. Of course, gotta say all the cliche things, but gotta share this with your peoples, gotta let other people know, get other people following, so we can get it out there. Like it took Mr. Beast, like I said, a year to get to 1,000. Can I get to 1,000? Can y'all help me get to 1,000 faster than that? And, let's see what the fuck we could build over here, bro. Like, I feel like we got a great lane. I feel like it's necessary, not just for our age group, but also for, again, like, how do we start to get these generations together? How do we start to inspire one another? So, let me know again. DM me, send me messages, put it in the chat. What y'all want to see, things we should talk about. Is there, topics for Wisdom Wednesdays we should discuss, or the Sunday streams and talking about exercise, or the guests we should bring on, whatever it is. But just again, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, and we're just getting started with this. But I'm looking forward to this shit, man. It's gonna be fun. Like, I like the challenges, and I just think that for me, having a hub like this is gonna really kind of tie things together. It's websites are cool, and obviously we'll build a website eventually and have that. But for me, I think it's really just the content that I've kind of been missing. I've been missing having a voice, and it's really been there. So if you have something that's been kind of tapping you, pulling on your heartstrings a little bit, or your gut is saying, something, like, listen, sit with it for a minute. And it might not come up right away, but be patient and, tap in every once in a while. It'll happen for you, but I'm excited to be here. I know this is a slow grind, so I got to stay consistent. I got to stay diligent. I got to organize everything. I got to get, the whole page looking right. What else? Yeah, like I said, subscribe. And yeah, reiterate the 5 W's from it. This is, a safe space. This is a home for us to be open, for us to be vulnerable, for us to be authentic, for us to grow, individually as well as a community, as well as a whole, to inspire, man, to check in on people. And have some fun, to laugh, to celebrate, to honor, to acknowledge, to, share knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, to share perspective. And it's not about me. This is about us. This is about we. This is just a space that we're creating. Like, my greatest goal is for everything to go from, whatever ideas I have, me, to we. Because again, as I speak to individuals about this, I feel like we need these things. We need safe spaces. We need places where we can go that reflect our experiences, that reflect our culture. And sometimes those spaces are going to be digital spaces. Sometimes they're going to be in real life. Sometimes they're going to be recordings of being in real life. But I think that, yeah, like I said, I think this is just a great space to bring it all together for me, man. And I think together, us, taking the mask off, taking those steps, checking on each other, taking each moment, each day, everything one day, one moment at a time. And that's what we do, What else, guys? Anything else before we dip out of here? I'm going to try to keep these at exactly around 2 hours. Anything I missed, anything you guys want to comment, tell me. Let's figure it out. It says my stream health is healthy, so I love that. I love that the stream is healthy. That shit is dope. But I appreciate y'all hanging with me. I appreciate y'all, putting a couple numbers in here with me. Showing some love. But, save it, subscribe, hit the notifications. And we'll definitely be back here next Monday. And yeah, man, just gonna continue to grow this vibe out. I'm very curious where we're gonna go with this. I'm very, very, very curious. And also make sure y'all check out, Mask Off, the podcast with Hawaii Mike. New episode with Mek Rashawn is dropping today. Go handle all that a little later. At least put out the audio today. Maybe put out the video tomorrow, the day after, once we make some clips. Yeah, check that out. Support that one too. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. And if we don't, let me know. Like, if we're not showing up somewhere, the RSS isn't working, please let me know. But yeah, man. that is all for today, folks. We did it. The first official live stream. The only thing I don't think I figured out is I don't think it's streamed on Twitch. Yeah, because it says offline, so I don't know why it didn't stream to Twitch. So that's what I gotta figure out. Damn. Alright. So if anybody got any people out there that know what the hell they're doing, that know OBS and you know all those overlay systems and all that good stuff and how to stream, I'm always open to learning more. Because trust me, I do not know everything. Dope. I appreciate that, Lando. I really appreciate it, man. Because that's what I was trying to do. I think it's like, I think there's some times where we'll be very, like, kind of honed in. But at the same time, I think there's just so many different topics and things just happening in this world to kind of touch on. And to give a little bit of, you know, light, balance, acknowledgement to. You know, because I think we're all going through things, man. And the powers that be don't want us collaborating, connecting in these positive ways. They want us, you know, scared and running in other directions and running at each other and angry and shit like that. And I'm like, nah, that's not how we live, man. We want to be happy. We want to be healthy. We also got to understand that it takes work. And it's up to us to own that. And the only way we can do that is with, you know, intentional mindfulness practices and doing that work. And, you know, again, it's very easy to say. It just takes some discipline to start. But once we start, you know, you start to build that momentum up. You get inspired and you want to keep doing this. So, again, I want to thank y'all for hanging out with me today. I am Hawaii Mike. You've watched Mask Off Mondays or Open Mic. You know, we're gonna figure that out. I like that name. And then yeah, man, like I said, make sure y'all subscribe, follow, comment, share. Let people know, man. Add it to a blast, add it to a text, add it to somebody you think would enjoy it. And I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, sending y'all all the love and light. And remember to continuously ask yourself, what does success mean to me? What does success mean to me? We'll come back next week. I definitely want to hear some of that, all right? See y'all soon. Peace. Now I got to figure out how to stop this. Oh, right there. Stop streaming.